Hello there, I'm Shubhadeep Sarkar from India and I'll be your instructor throughout this course where I'm gonna teach you Python. So today is our first class and let's see what today's class is all about. So today's class is not about Python, today's class is not about programming, today's class is not about technical aspects. Today's class is about introduction to the class. So before starting the class, I need my tablet because there are things which I'm gonna explain and I have already forgotten. So this is why we humans tend to forget things, and that's why we need machines to rely on. So let's have a look. Who am I? Well, I'm a Python programmer, I'm a network engineer, I'm an ethical hacker, and I have just passed my Cisco Certified Network Associate and Certified Ethical Hacker. Sorry, I'm pursuing Certified Ethical Hacker, and I have just completed my Google IT automation using Python from Coursera, and also Python for Everybody from University of Michigan. So why am I teaching for free? I am teaching for free because this COVID-19 has brought too much of sadness, too much of unproductivity in people's life, and I want to make that disappear. At least make it, less. I want to do good. I want to do good. There are people out there who cannot afford expensive courses, who cannot afford expensive college degrees, who cannot afford a mentor, and that's why I'm here to teach you that. I'm here to make you a better, better programmer. I'm not here to make you an expert level professional because I myself am a beginner, and why it will help you, let me tell you. The professors who teach you, or those experienced teachers who have got 20 years of experience, because clearly I do not have 20 years of experience. So people who have already got the 20 years of software development experience may be skilled, but they do have a problem. They forget to relate with the student because they have already forgotten that how it was to be like a beginner, how it was to learning. They have already forgot that those things. So I'll be teaching you step by step. I'll take you from scratch to a pretty advanced level. And by pretty advanced level, I don't mean you'll be a data scientist expert, you will be an AI expert. I don't mean all those stuffs, because I'm going to teach you basic Python. I'm going to teach you basic raw Python. I'm not going into some domains. I am not going into some domains. Although I'll be touching fewer concepts like databases, like regular expressions, like web scraping, but I'm not going to go into the depths of this. I'm going to teach you the basic Python stuffs. So what are we gonna learn? We're gonna start with variables. We're gonna then look on to loops, then if else by if else I mean conditionals. If this, then do this. If that, then do that. If none of these, then do this. Okay, so these stuffs. Then we're gonna do this thing called iterations, like loops. In shorter words, loops. What are loops? I'm gonna do this thing for this number of times. I'm gonna go from here to there for 10 times. Okay, I'm gonna go there, then come back, then go there, then come back for this number of times. I'm gonna execute these things for this number of times. So these are called loops. Doing same things in a repeated way. Okay, so these are loops. Then we're gonna cover the basics data structures of Python. And by data structures, I do not mean that I'll cover stacks, heaps, graphs, and all those complex stuffs, because I'm gonna teach you the data structures which are built into Python. Okay, so then our basic part comes into an end. But still, let me verify. Keep loops. Then. Huh. Okay, I forgot to mention functions. So we'll use these functions. Why do we need functions? Just an overview. We need functions when we need to use the same lines of codes repeated number of times. For example, here is a number, here is another number, add this. Okay, so maybe we need to do this hundreds and thousands of times. Now, if we are gonna write the same code for adding two numbers hundreds and thousands of times, it's gonna be inefficient, and your code is gonna look very, very dirty. So to make it organized, we need functions. We need things that we use repeatedly, those stuffs. and then our basic unit comes to an end. Then we start our intermediate programming. In intermediate programming, the first thing we are going to cover is exception handling. What are exceptions? Exceptions are things like you asked me for a number, I gave you my name. It's an exception. Those things. You asked, suppose there's an exam and the marks are from 0 to 100 and you give me 1000. So it's an exception. It's an exception. So how to handle this? Because if we do not handle these, our programs will, crash. Our programs will crash and it will give us error codes and it will not work properly. We need a mechanism to ignore these stuffs or notify the user who's giving us these inputs that, hey, you're giving it wrong, check it. But we do not crash. We do not crash unexpectedly. That is the thing. And moving on to the next topic is testing. So we are going to then move on to tests, writing manual tests as well as automatic tests using the module that unit test module. And we're going to learn about many of the tests like white box testing, black box testing, smoke testing, and there are all sorts of testing out there in the IT industry. So we're going to learn about them, just an overview. Then we're going to move to object-oriented programming using Python. So what is object-oriented programming? Well, if I tell you right now, then maybe it will be difficult for you, but still, let's see. Okay, so let's see. Okay, I am a student. What does a student have? What does a student have? A student has a name, a student has a roll number, a student has a unique ID through which he can be identified. Okay, and what can student do? Student can read. So student can student can write tests, write exams. Okay, these are the things that a student can do. And what are the and this student is a class. Okay, because students are like this, and me, you, and all those other students are the objects. Okay. Now let me be very clear here. For example, if you are storing a student's data in a table, how will you store it? You will make rows and columns. Columns having name, this roll number, this unique ID. Okay, this. So these columns specify that a student has a name, a roll number, and a unique ID, and this is a class. Because we can't specify some other thing other than these, right? A student does not have a attribute of employee ID. It doesn't have. So that's what a class is. And the real thing, like there are 10 students in a class. Each of the student is an object of the student class. This is what a student is all about. And then I'm going to teach other things in object-oriented programming, like what is object-oriented paradigm. These paradigms, programming languages have a paradigm. By paradigm we mean how we solve problems. Programming languages are here to solve human problems, and a problem can be solved in various ways, but every way has its own approach. How are you going to approach the program? That depends upon the paradigm. There can be different types of paradigms. There is functional programming paradigm. There is object-oriented paradigm. There are some other paradigm called procedural paradigm. These are the things. So we're going to touch on them lightly, and then I'm going to teach you some other advanced object-oriented concepts like inheritance. What is inheritance? Let's go back to the student example. So student can read, can study, can write exams, but what are the things that a student can do? What are the basic things? He or she can drink, he or she can sleep, he or she can run. Where is this coming from? Humans. We humans can sleep, eat, or run regardless of this thing that we are a student or an employee or whatever. These are our basic functions. And the student is also a human, right? So we can say a student is a human. So that means whatever a human can do, a student can do the same things. but student can do other things which a human cannot do, right? A basic human cannot do those things, right? If you aren't a student, how gonna read, how you are gonna write exams? You can't, right? Those are specifics, but you're gonna inherit those natural things. Now you know, where are humans coming from? Humans are a part of living beings, because these animals, they also eat, they also sleep, and these humans, they also eat, they also sleep. So where there is a common place from where this is coming, and that common place is living beings. So you see, humans inherit properties from living beings, students inherit their properties from humans, so that's called inheritance. And then I'm going to show you static methods and some other stuffs. Okay, and those are pretty advanced stuff, so I'm not going into detail right now. So next thing is, well, file handling. File handling is very important. What is file handling? You are making these programs. For example, you this student program. Okay, you are storing tens and hundreds of student data, but if you do not save it, once you switch off your computer, the data is gone. Boom, there is no data available anymore. So you need somewhere to save this data. That's where comes files. That's where comes files. You know, you're gonna save this data to a text file, maybe to a CSV file, maybe to a Excel file or a spreadsheet or whatever. And another example is that you download things, right? You just download things from internet. What actually is happening? It just gets magic. It just happens magically? No, it is not. When the things get downloaded into your computer, a file is formed. And if you ever notice properly, suppose there is a file and the download has been 50% completed, and if you check the file, the location of the file, there is a unreadable binary file. So what is this? The data is coming into your computer bit by bit, and a data is forming. A file is formed where the data is stored. For example, there is a dog image. 20% is completed. The 20% of the image has come into the data. So once the image is completed downloading, then all those dog stuffs are into that particular file, and now you can access it. Though I'll show you how to read files, how to write to files, how to write CSV files, and all those stuffs. And file handling is going to be very interesting, trust me guys. So what is the next thing? Okay, so now we move on to the last segment or last unit of our course, that is advanced programming. Don't be scared, okay? These are just the basics. It is just, you know, nothing. Okay, regular expressions. So what are regular expressions? Regular expressions are basically one kind of language built into Python language. It's funny, right? You know, regular expressions are very useful, and we'll see what it can do. It is very powerful and extremely fast, and I mean it, extremely fast. Okay, these things are just awesome, and these things are going to make your life easier. Then we're going to learn web scraping. What is web scraping? Well, I have just given you an example that you are surfing the web, you are downloading dog images. So you are doing this by click, and you just go there, click download, and it gets downloaded. We write programs for that. Yes, you heard me right. So what happens? The image is stored in a particular server in some other location. We are gonna access that server, that particular image we're gonna access, and then we're gonna take that image, copy paste into our local computer. This is what a download is. We're gonna take the remote thing. By remoting, it means the image is not here, right? The image may be in some different continent, or maybe in some different country. So we are gonna just take it, put it in our computer, finished. This is what we're gonna do. For example, we have a list of students who have performed well in exams. There are top 10 students, their names, their roll numbers, their address, their phone numbers, their email IDs, all those stuff. Now it is in a remote location. So we have two options. Either we are going to download it by hand, then we are going to write a program to, you know, make it look beautiful, or do some other stuffs, analyze it. But what if we can write a program which can directly access it from that location, and then analyze it within the program and finishes its tasks? This is where web scraping comes into place. It is a part of data mining, which is another advanced thing which I'm not going deep into. Okay, and then we're gonna get started with, oops, sorry, I missed two things. We're gonna work with XML files, extensible markup language, and JSON files, JavaScript object notation files. These are actually serialization and deserialization files. So let me give you a brief overview. For example, I have a program which can, understand Python, and you sitting over that country, some other country, you are having a program which can understand Java, but not, not Python. So, for example, I'm gonna send you a data through Python, and you're gonna receive it in Java machine. So it cannot read, right? Python cannot understand Java. Java cannot understand Python data. So it needs a middle thing that can convert it to some intermediate form, then convert it back into that Java form. Okay. So I send data from here into the internet. It gets converted into some intermediate form. This is called serialization. And when it reaches to you, it gets deserialized. It means that it gets converted from that intermediate part to Java, because things cannot be directly converted from Python to Java. This cannot happen. So it needs an intermediate medium. So this is where JSON and XML comes into place. So we're going to look into that later on. So next we are going to work with SQL, structured query language, and again, like regular expressions, it is just another language built into Python. So it is very, very, very powerful. It is immensely powerful. Uh, it's gonna save you a lot of time, lot of hustles. When you're going to search huge things, these are just awesome things. Okay, they're gonna help you to store data, read data, retrieve data in a very efficient and fast way. Very fast. These are very fast. So we're gonna work with SQL, and more specifically, we're gonna use SQLite. So SQLite is a lightweight database that can handle up to 140 terabytes of data. Now, it's light, okay? That's what the company says about it. So we're gonna work with it. We're gonna make some applications with it. We're gonna see the relationships, different types of relationships, one-to-one relationships, one-to-many relationships, and all those other stuffs. And finally, once we are done with this, we come to the last part of the course, which is automation. And there are numerous and millions of things that we can automate, but we're gonna learn two very important things. One is manipulating images using Python. Yes, you heard it right. You are not going to need some external software to manipulate images. You can directly manipulate it through Python. For example, you have faced such situations where you have these 10,000 images which are in PNG format, and you need to convert it into JPG format. Now you just cannot rename things, okay? That doesn't convert its type. It will be a JPG, but you may rename it PNG, but that doesn't actually work. But in Python, if you use that what's the imaging library? Okay, PIL. Sorry, if you use PIL, you can convert the image, tens of thousands of images, into your preferred way. You can convert it from, just let's say you need a picture which is colorful and you need to convert it into black and white. You can do it using Python. You need a picture and you want to blur it. So you can do it with Python. All these stuffs you can do with Python. Okay, this is what we're going to learn. And next we're going to learn a very important thing, is how to send emails with Python. And this is very exciting. Trust me, this is very exciting. We're going to learn how to send emails with Python, how to process text files, how to process log files, how to send this information through the web, how to connect to SSLs, how to connect to your remote servers, all those stuffs. Okay, so you're gonna need an email account for that, and that's all we're gonna learn about. So coming back to today's session, okay, answering FAQs. Why am I teaching on Telegram? That's the most frequently asked question. I'm teaching on Telegram because of certain reasons. Because these videos you can see, these are very long videos, 20 or 30 minutes long videos. These I cannot send these through Facebook because Facebook doesn't allow 25 videos that exceed more than 25 MB to send. And similarly in WhatsApp I cannot send it, and neither in email. So that's why I'm gonna send these over Telegram. This is one of the most frequently asked question. And duration, about the duration. Okay, there's no duration limit, but approximately you can can guess it's going to be about 2 months or maybe 1.5 months, something like that. Now, what I'm gonna tell you some rules and regulations. So please help each other when people face doubts. It is everyone's responsibility to help him or her. Uh, this is not just the case that I'm the teacher and I'm going to help him always. It's also your duty, because that will increase how you think, how you work. Try to solve it. If the other person is having some problem, you try to solve it of your own, and trust me, you will get interest in it and you will become a good programmer. This will make you a good programmer, a good troubleshooter as well. So do this. And next, once I complete unit 1, if you want to continue with me for unit 2, that's intermediate programming and advanced programming, so you need to make a video of yourself of 1 to 2 minutes where you will be explaining things, what you have learned, how you liked it, and what were some of the good things you liked, and how can I personally improve whether the class, the quality of the class, how can I improve it, how can I make it more interactive. Okay, you can give me tips when I complete unit 1, because this way I can actually know who are interested, who are the serious ones, and that's it. See you then. And is there something else? Okay, final words. Okay, welcome to the course, and I am very glad to join with you guys. I never thought that I'd be teaching internationally. Okay, I have never taught before. This is the first time I'm going to teach people, and that too from other countries and different continents. That's amazing. I'm really ecstatic. I'm glad to have you guys. So all the best and keep Pythoning. Happy learning. See you in the next video. Thank you. Namaste.